for like a year and 3 or 4 months now. And one of the concerns I keep getting from people from all walks of life is, wow, we can't afford just the basics anymore. It's hard to fill the gas tank up. It's getting hard to buy groceries. We're having to buy less. We're having to decide sometimes whether to eat 3 meals a day. And just paying our rent is getting really difficult. So we put forth that we want to help people. We're doing great as a state. We have a surplus, and we put forth a policy for the folks here in Arizona where we are going to cut and eliminate the grocery tax and the rent tax. This will put $500 million back in the pockets of Arizonans. Let me tell you, everyone's out there working hard. I'm working hard, I know you're working hard, and I know that I trust you to spend your money more than I trust the government to spend it. We've got, it looks like another $5 billion surplus in Arizona. That means we're taxing you too much, and we want to make sure we get some of that tax money back to you. So we're going to be implementing this. It'll take effect in the 23-24 fiscal year. Obviously, I have to work with lawmakers to do this, and we will work with lawmakers. We know that they are interested in helping the people of Arizona as well. We're going to use the surplus to offset the tax revenue generated by the cities that rely on these taxes. And we're going to give them a helping hand for about 5 years so they can kind of get used to not having this tax. And we will work with them to help them. We don't want the cities to struggle, but we definitely need to start helping the people of Arizona. I know that Arizonans have been suffering under Joe Biden's economy, and it has been affecting every little bit of their lives, and we have to do something here at the state level to help them. Short of getting him out of office, which is what I hope to make happen, and I hope that we can elect a good, strong Republican in 2024, but that's a way down the line. And until we can get him out of office and get a good, solid Republican in office, we got to do whatever we can to help the good people of Arizona. Many of you are not old enough to remember this, but in 1970, after Jimmy Carter, we had stagflation. It was inflation that was sticking. It wasn't going anywhere. And I lived through that. It was a horrible economy. And we had an amazing president by the name of Ronald Reagan who came in. And he did not get us out of stagflation by raising our taxes. He got us out of that by lowering them. And so that's what we're going to do. We're taking a page out of Ronald Reagan's playbook. DC has been completely irresponsible in the way that they are handling taxes. They keep spending money, they keep printing money, and as soon as they print money, every time they print money, our inflation goes up more. So we got to do what we can here at the state level. I want to quickly invite up Talia and her mother. Come on up, guys. Talia, thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Is a student. Her voice is a little stronger right now than mine. She's a student at ASU. She's struggling just like everybody else, and her mom as well. Kari, come on up. Talia's going to talk about, I guess, the rental tax and how that'll help you.
Yeah. So my name is Talia Massey, and I'm a senior at Arizona State University. As someone who pays for their own food, gas, clothes, etc., inflation is absolutely destroying our community. Biden inflation has caused gas, food, and rent to soar, making it really hard for young people like me and recent graduates to pay for a living and getting jobs. As a full-time student, I work multiple jobs just so I can pay for $5 a gallon of gas. Once I graduate, I am worried about finding a safe and reasonably priced place to live and how I'll pay for all my expenses with these prices. I'll be completely independent and on my own, and I am scared that I won't be able to afford basic living in the worst economic environment in decades. Ultimately, I am scared of what the future looks like under the Biden administration unless the states take control, and specifically Kari Lake, here in the state of Arizona. Kari Lake is the only candidate proposing relief for young people and new job seekers to mitigate the damage caused by Biden. Katie Hobbs will crush us further and make it even more expensive to live here in Arizona. Kari Lake is fair, honest, and tough, and I trust her because she knows what it's like. When she is elected, I'm excited to see Arizona improve for the better and go back to living in a community where we can all afford to live, especially for young people like me. Thank you.
Thank you, Talia.
Hi, my name's Kari, and I'm also part of Moms for Kari Coalition. The cost of living in Arizona has increased by double digits over this past year. and we're all feeling it. Between skyrocketing prices on food, gas, rent, Arizona has become more and more expensive to live. As a mother, between putting gas in the car for my kids to drive them to school, buy groceries, put food on our table, we face these skyrocketing prices every single day as a family, and there is no end in sight. I am married with 3 children, and my husband and I have this discussion daily, how we're going to provide for our children. As a mother, I'll welcome any relief from these crushing costs of day-to-day life, and that is why I support Kari Lake, because she plans to cut taxes on Arizona groceries and rent for the people for Arizona. Arizona families like mine are already being pushed to the brink by rising costs thanks to bad policies that are coming out of Washington. The last thing we need is to pay even more on top of all of that to our government. Kari's plan to provide tax relief on our weekly grocery bills will help middle-class families like mine to help budget through the week. Her plan to cut monthly taxes on monthly rent and will give Arizonans that are struggling to pay for their skyrocketing rent and help boost the economy. Sadly, Katie Hobbs and her party leadership in Washington does not seem to care about that. And this inflation is only wrecking the middle-class families like mine. And that is why I'm here, because I support Kari. And I support her because she listens to us and our families in the middle class. Inflation is already making groceries and rent increasingly out of reach for millions of Arizonans, and no one should be unable to afford food and shelter for their family. Thank you.
Thank you, Kari. Thank you so much. People are really struggling right now, and it's so unfortunate. It doesn't have to be this way. We've watched just terrible policy drive our country, drive our economy into the ground. We had a great economy under President Donald Trump. Joe Biden came in and trashed it, frankly. So we have to provide help. And Talia and Kari, thank you. I know that they represent many other families out there. This is a policy that will help the working class folks here in Arizona. And it will help people from all walks of life. It truly will. When you're paying rent to put a roof over your head, when you're paying rent to buy groceries for your family, it makes it harder. You shouldn't have to pay, or not rent, sorry. When you're paying taxes to buy food, you shouldn't have to pay taxes for the necessities like that. And we're going to do whatever we can to cut that bottom line for Arizonans and Arizona families. So I want to have Sam Stone, my policy director, come out. He's going to give you some more of the nitty-gritty detail, because I know you're going to have a bunch of questions about that, and I don't know how much longer my voice will hold out. I ask for you guys, I know that some of you will, just to say a prayer that I can keep my voice going for the next week or so. Some of you might not pray for it to stay. Because, see, I want to go after you when we start doing the questions part. So I want to save it. Sam, go ahead.
Right. This program is obviously fairly straightforward. About 2/3 of the cities and towns in Arizona currently have a tax on food. This will end that tax. Another third or so of the cities have a tax on rent. This will end that tax. And in each case, the number is very manageable for the state to compensate these cities, particularly the smaller towns and rural communities that rely on this for a large portion of their budget. We're going to make sure this remains revenue neutral for them. This very much mirrors a bill that came very close to passing in the legislature during the last session. And so we will be looking to work with many of the sponsors of that legislation to move this new bill forward as soon as Kari takes office.
All right, thank you, Sam. All right, with that, I will take questions.
Kari, so your opponent, racist Democrat Katie Hobbs, she won't debate you. She says that foreign cause is spectacle. But to be honest, it sounds like you have some thoughts that this war are inflationary, skyrocketing inflation. Tell us more about why Katie Hobbs will debate you.
You know, I can't get into her mind, nor do I want to. I think there's several reasons why Katie Hobbs won't debate me tomorrow. I've asked, as you know, the organizers of tomorrow night's debate to keep the deadline open right up until the moment the debate starts, and I hope she'll find the courage to show up. We have serious issues facing Arizonans. We've got great policies for the people, and she should show up and talk about what she wants to do. I saw a little bit of a forum that she was part of last week where she couldn't even answer a simple question of name one good thing that the Latino community has taught her. and she spent a minute long. She couldn't come up with a single answer for a softball question. I don't think she has confidence in her communication skills. I know that her record is dismal. She's raised taxes every chance she could. She wanted to double the gas tax. She was against border security in any way, shape, or form, including a virtual border wall. She didn't want to fund the border strike task force that helps keep our border safe. She's just had terrible policies, including sponsoring that legislation to bring sex ed to kindergarten. It's outrageous, and I think she knows I'm going to call her out on that. Not to mention that she's been convicted twice of racial and sexual discrimination for paying a woman of color $30,000 less than the white male counterparts in her office. And they spend all of their time calling Republicans names like neo-Nazi racist when they, in fact, are the racists. And so I have a feeling it's all of that and then some. But the important thing to note is that the people of Arizona, the hardworking people of Arizona, are taking note. And they're realizing that she won't show up for the job interview. And I think we're going to win. I think we're going to win by a wide margin.
We had an emergency fund, as you know, because we were in a state of emergency. A lot of people don't even know what I'm talking about probably right now. Doug Ducey received almost $500,000 in money in case if there's emergencies for the state of Arizona. So long we have the emergency, as we all know, the more federal funds will keep coming and keep pouring in. Why can't we use some of that funds? When you're a governor, that we could use and utilize it for the border on our own.
I believe that the money you're talking about, if I'm right, had to be spent by the end of this year. So we don't have access to that, but we do have a surplus. And in my opinion, if we have surplus, that means we're taxing people too much. And we don't want to tax people too much. We want to give that hard-earned money back to the people of Arizona. I trust the people to spend their money more than I trust the government.
Right.
The people earned the money, the government didn't.
And a follow-up, the press release you just mentioned earlier, the conference. Can we have a print of it because a lot of people might not be
I'll see if my staff can get that to you. If they can't get you a printout, then I'll see if they can email something to you.
Thank you so much.
Do you want to take a couple more questions? Who are you with and what's your name?
CNN, Kate Oliver, CNN.
Hi.
So back to the debate for a second. Your opponent, Katie Hobbs, said that a debate with you would only lead to constant interruptions, pointless distractions, and childish name-calling. Do you have a response to that?
I don't know why she would think that. I mean, you guys have been covering me for a long time. I haven't called you guys names. Well, maybe I've called you the fake news, but that's a fact. We're going to discuss the issues. If that's her excuse, then call me out on stage. But here's what I challenge you to ask her. Why didn't she show up for the Democrat primary debate? She didn't show up to debate the Democrat in the primary. And she keeps giving excuses for not wanting to appear on stage and lay out her plan for Arizona. We have far too many issues facing our state right now to have a weak, cowardice candidate in the win and make it to the governor's mansion. I don't think she will because people are onto the fact that she's a coward and that she has dead-end ideas. And if she can't stand up on that stage and present her ideas for Arizona, they must be really bad ideas.
We were at a press conference this morning where my candidate was Blake Masters, and I asked him if he would be endorsing other statewide Republican candidates such as yourself. And he didn't answer. But would you want Mike Pence's endorsement?
You know what? I have not sought his endorsement. To me, the endorsement that matters are the people of Arizona. You know, if people want to endorse me, that's great. But what I want the endorsement of people like Talia and her mom, Kari. I want the endorsement of hardworking folks in Arizona. That's what matters to me. That's what matters to me.
I've got two questions. The second one kind of on.
You can have one question.
First one.
You want me to go to somebody else while you figure it out?
Well, okay, go fast. So, early voting begins tomorrow.
Yeah.
Mail ballots are going out. You voted by mail in the primary. How do you intend to vote in the general election? How would you urge your voters to vote? And then also, how do you kind of...
That's
when it
one.
comes to federal and state spending.
I voted, unfortunately, by mail, even though I asked to be off the early mail-in list. I was sent a ballot, so I was forced to vote by mail. This time around, I will be voting in person. I encourage people to vote in person. However, if you have a mail-in ballot, I think that you should mail it in. I want people to vote. And vote whatever way you want to vote, but vote. I know that a lot of our supporters will show up on election day. We won 70% of the vote on election day. We're going to beat Katie Hobbs. The question is, are we going to beat her by 3 points or by 10 points? I want to beat her by 10 points and send a loud and clear message that Arizona is not interested in dead-end ideas. Arizona is not interested in socialist ideas. Arizonans want common sense solutions to the problems that we've been facing. And I'm going to leave it at that because I'm losing my voice. If you have further questions on my policy, Sam Stone's going to stick around. He's happy to answer questions. Sam, thank you.
Thank you, Kari. Folks, yeah, I apologize. We're trying to protect Kari's voice for the rest of this campaign, and obviously it's a little bit of